There's not much that I want for in this life. Pasta, access to Gilmore Girls, and a nice garden. Is that really too much to ask for? Hello, this is Summer speaking. Welcome to Outdoors with Sum. I'm a wildlife filmmaker, but I also happen to have a science background, and sometimes it gets itchy for some juicy nature facts. So today, we're getting to the bottom of why your seeds aren't germinating. Why aren't they germinating? You can't ask them, so we have to figure it out for ourselves. And we're going to use a little bit of evolution and science background to figure out why. So here in New Zealand, spring has begun. It's the perfect time to start planting. And also we have this amazing thing in our supermarkets where they give out little free seedlings if you spend over $40. So currently I've got a lot of these seedlings at home. They're starting to sprout up, and it really made me think about what makes them do better sometimes, and how can I help them along, you know? I love these little guys. They're going to provide me with food, precious food. Whatever I can do to help them, I've got to do it. So we're going to figure out what makes a seed grow, how we can take advantage of those factors of its biology, and then I'm going to show you a little demonstration of me doing these tips, and hopefully you can use them at home to help your seeds germinate better too. Now, to figure out how to make our seeds grow better, we need to know their process. What's their routine? I want a morning routine, I want an evening routine. I need to know the steps that the seed goes through so that we can intercept, take advantage of those steps, and use them to our own advantage so that we can make the seed germinate better. Seeds, basically they're a little package, little parcel, little sweet little parcel, and they contain proteins and carbohydrates which the seed will use as energy to start growing into a plant. Seeds also have an outer shell which protects them from harsh environmental conditions while they're being transported around by wind and by animals until they reach the soil. Once the seed makes its way into some dirt, that's when the magic happens. Okay, so imbibition basically means that the seed, it's in some soil and it wants to start taking in some water. So basically it starts sucking up water from the soil, it swells up, and the swelling causes it to burst through the outer shell. And by bursting through, it's got an opportunity to start growing a root. Here we go! The seed starts breathing of sorts. It starts taking in oxygen from the soil. Some plants have evolved to do this underwater. These kinds of seeds, like rice, they can take in oxygen that's been dissolved in the water around them, but once plants started living on land, they had to figure out a different process. Oxygen is contained in the soil, and these seeds use that air to start developing into a plant. This is why it's important for seeds to be planted near the surface so they can actually get enough oxygen from the air. Different seeds like different amounts of light. You think, hey, plants like the light, don't they? So seeds must like it too, but it's not that straightforward. It's true, some seeds do only germinate if they're exposed to the light, but other ones, the dark side of the spectrum, they prefer to germinate in the darkness. These are your vampire seeds. Have you ever left an onion in the back of the cupboard and you come back in a couple of months and it started sprouting? That's what I'm talking about. So for seeds that do need the light to germinate, the light triggers this chemical reaction inside the seeds. It interacts with this pigment, photochrome, and no, it's not an internet browser. The light interacts with photochrome and that causes the seed to come out of its dormancy. Negatively photoblastic seeds, they can do this quite happily without the light at all. Breakdown of supplies. Break it down. So you remember how I said that seeds, they have proteins and carbs stored inside them? Well, this next step involves them. Some of the cells inside of the seed, they start to break down and they produce enzymes, and these enzymes help the seed to digest the proteins and the carbs, and then it can use them for the next step, which is... So the seed has got all this energy, it's ready to go, and some of the cells are starting to think, hey, I want to make something out of myself. I want to contribute. So they go and see a careers advisor. And some of the cells, they start to take on different roles within the seed. Some of them decide they want to be in the public eye, and so they're going to become leaves. Some of the other ones, they prefer to be more in the background. They lead from behind. They want to be roots. Both equally important. If the first step in the seeds process is to start absorbing water, then there's a little shortcut we could take there. For some seeds it takes several days, some up to a week and some even over a week to absorb enough water to break through the shell and start sprouting a root. So what we could do is a little shortcut. If we soak the seeds before we actually plant them in the ground, then that should speed up that process, right? Yes, correct. So let's give it a try. Now first of all you want to know what kind of plant you've got, because some seeds have a thicker shell than other ones, so they'll need more time to soak. Sometimes they can take only a couple of hours, and then others can take over 8 hours or even overnight. Once they've swollen up a little bit and they're a little bit softer, then they're ready to plant in the soil. So what I've got here are some sunflower seeds, Dwarf Sensation. So let's try planting them and we'll see if we can speed up this process a little bit. I'll soak them first as well, and I think sunflowers have pretty thick shells, so they'll probably need overnight soaking. Goodbye! Alright, so we've got our nicely soaked seed, it's all puffed up and ready to go. So the next step is going to be planting, and here we can take another shortcut. Remember, in the seeds process, this is where the seed starts to take in oxygen. Now, I was of the thought school that seeds need lots of soil covering them. You know, if it said like 1 millimeter, I was like, that is not enough. But lots of people don't actually know that some seeds don't really need any soil coverage at all, or even just a light, delicate dusting. So burying them too deep will inhibit the amount of oxygen they can actually get. So really get to know your seed, find out what it likes, ask it all the intimate questions. Does it like long walks on the beach? The back of the pack says that they like to be 10 millimeters down in the soil and in full sun. So obviously they do alright with a bit less oxygen than say other plants. Okay, last tip. Remember how I said that some seeds, they need the sunlight in order to germinate and other ones don't? They're quite happy in the dark. Figure out what your seed likes, if it's positively photoblastic, non-photoblastic, negatively photoblastic. It's a simple matter of just moving it to where it likes. These guys like full sun, so it's probably positively photoblastic, needs the light to be able to germinate. So I'm going to keep it in full sun and hopefully it'll be a happy little sunflower. Well, those are my tips for you. It definitely helps me to understand why plants need the things that they do, why they've got such different requirements, if I know the background of how they develop as a seed. So I hope that you found that version of it useful. I'll do a follow-up episode in a couple of weeks where we'll see how the pre-soaked seeds went compared to the non-soaked seeds, and also I'll show you what to do with the seedlings when they're ready to plant into something bigger, and we'll see if there's any science and evolution behind that can help us out there. So make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss it, and also if you've got any of your own tips on how you make your seeds grow better, then let me know down in the comments. Alright, I'll see you next time. Bye!